All right, look. So I obviously didn't make a post game video yesterday, and most of that was in part to okay. So I did make a little post game video. It was like a what minute long video about blah 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 blah. We suck. BB boo boo bop. I deleted it after like 30 seconds because I didn't want that to be the post game video that everybody remembers. And I doubt anybody remembers this too well, but I do want to go ahead and make this. Now, first off, I want to say congratulations to Missouri and congratulations to Mizzou, man. You guys deserve the W. You earned it. You dominated us. You outcoached Tennessee. You outplayed Tennessee. So congratulations to the Mizzou fans. Congratulations to the team. Congratulations to the coach. I stopped watching about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I've heard people say that Mizzou, ran up the score, or they took their timeouts in order to just rub it in some more. And if that is true, then so what? So what? Let them. Let them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got beat. You got dominated, and that's all there is to it. So congratulations to Mizzou, man. I don't know any fans on YouTube or anywhere else, for that matter. So if there are any Mizzou fans that are watching this video right now, make yourself known in the comment section, and I'd love to congratulate you on that win. It's a big win, and just congratulations, and good luck the rest of the way. Because the rest of the way, it's the way things are panning out. Mizzou could very well get to 10 wins, and that would be a very, very good season for Mizzou, all things considered. So congrats to Eli Drinkwitz. Congratulations to the fans. And, of course, congratulations to the Missouri football team. You guys won. You guys dominated. And that's all there is to it. So good luck the rest of the way. Okay, now with all that being said, I do want to I want to talk about some things. So you guys have watched me. A majority of you, I hope, have at least seen one of my halftime or my post-game videos. And if you've seen one of them, then you know exactly what I'm getting ready to talk about. So the offense is a joke. I feel like we all know that by now. The offense is a complete and utter failure, an atomic failure at that. It's just a complete and pathetic joke of an offense. 7 points scored throughout the entirety of the game. It's Heupel's lowest in his coaching career as a head coach. I think it's at both Tennessee and UCF too. So it's just one of the worst performances overall by the Tennessee offense and by the Josh Heupel-led offense. Just a terrible, terrible game overall. The defense just could not get out of their own way. Mizzou just outright dominated Tennessee on every facet of this game. The quarterback's throwing for 200-something yards. I think Brady Cook had 275 yards. Cody Schrader just completely melted apart this defensive backfield. He ran for 200 yards. Over 100 receiving yards. It's the first time anybody in the SEC has done that, I'm pretty sure, or at least the first time in a while that a player in the SEC has done that. So, just Tennessee got dominated. That's all there is to it. And I wish that was it. I wish that was it. And if that were it, I would end this video right here and we move on to the next week. But it's not. There is a much bigger problem here. And this problem roots way deeper than Joey Hazel or anything else that I've talked about. I have been very, very, I've not been reluctant to go after Joey Hazel and the job that he's done at Tennessee. I think the way he's, coached these games is nothing short of just absolutely terrible. And it's been terrible. And for the longest time now, I've been saying, if Joey Hazel doesn't have it, he ain't no good, get rid of him. But I think this is a lot deeper than that, and here's why. So, throughout the entirety of this season, Joe Milton, I came to this belief after the Texas A&M game, and I've always firmly believed it after that, but now I truly do believe it. Joe Milton doesn't have it. He never did have it. And he's not capable of running the offense that Josh Heupel wants to run efficiently. He just doesn't have it. He's not, he's been in college for 6 years now, and it's the same product every single week with Joe Milton. He hasn't progressed a day at Tennessee. He hasn't improved. He's the same quarterback that arrived on campus 3 years ago after coming here from Michigan. It's the exact same problems overthrown receivers, throwing behind receivers back, interceptions, boneheaded decisions with the ball. The only things he can do, and okay, I'm going to get on this. So, of course, here I already know what I'm gonna get. Joe Milton ain't even that bad, and I'm sure somebody's asked Heupel this. I couldn't be the only one who thinks this, but you have to wonder why in the world is Joe Milton still the quarterback at Tennessee, the starting quarterback at Tennessee, and I'm sure Heupel among any, because I've seen it already. A bunch of Tennessee fans have already said, "Well, Heupel was, Milton wasn't even that bad. He wasn't. He didn't even play that bad. He has a lot of completions. Save for the Missouri game, 22. Joe Milton was 22 of 34 for 275 yards, and on paper that sounds good. 22 of 34, 275 yards. That doesn't sound like a bad game for any quarterback. Now, here's the other part to the story. And I want to ask you this. Before you type about, well, he had this many completions out of this many attempts, so he's really good, and that's all there is to it. That's the whole story. I'm going to ask you this. How many of those do you think were behind the line of scrimmage? How many of those do you think were passes to the sideline? Just take a guess. I don't even have to answer that. All you've got to do is just go back and watch the game. All you got to do is just go back and watch Tennessee on offense, and you will see it. You will see it almost every time that Joe Milton lines up to pass and makes a completion. It is 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage to the sideline, and that's usually how it is. Or in a very rare scenario, it's a 98-yard bomb like the one at Dante Thornton we saw that connected for 7 yards, or 7 points, excuse me. But those are the only 7 points we got all game. So here's my philosophy on this, and I'm sure now at this point y'all can agree with me on this. The way Tennessee's offense has progressed throughout the entirety of this season, and especially last night, I firmly believe one of these two things is true. One, we have the worst offensive minds in the country, and they need to be fired yesterday. Josh Heupel, Joey Hazel, and every other player, every other coach on that offense needs to go. Now, I don't believe that's true. I don't believe Heupel's the worst offensive mind in the country. I don't believe Hazel's the worst offensive coordinator in the country. None of that is true. So that leads us to option 2, and I do think this is true. These coaches are so scared of Joe Milton messing up and being terrible and being shown to be terrible that they have packaged a very, very niche set of plays that they know Joe Milton can complete. And it's one of these. This is it. This is the playbook for Tennessee. Number 1, a run up the middle by either one of our 3 running backs, Jabari Small, Jalen Wright, or Dylan Sampson. Number 2, a throw to the sideline or a screen pass that connects for however many yards the running back can manage. Number 3, an 80-something yard bomb down the field and hoping that Squirrel White or someone else is down there and they can catch it by some miraculous miracle. Or number 4, it is a designed read option run by Joe Milton. This is our playbook. This is it. Everything else, thrown to the wayside. Gone. You don't see it anywhere. And if you do, it never works. Not once. Only once in maybe like a blue or orange moon does it work. Every other time, incompletion. Interception. Pick 6. Fumble. You see what I'm getting at here. The whole thing. The whole ordeal. He just doesn't have it. And these coaches see that. I'm sure they see the exact same thing that we see. Joe Milton doesn't have it, so they have packaged a niche set of plays that hopefully make him look good. And I guess they have, because now a lot of these Tennessee fans have become brainwashed into believing that Milton's suddenly a good quarterback. I can assure you this. Me and everyone else that you know would be able to make that throw. That 5-yard to the sideline, anyone can make that. Anyone can. It doesn't matter if I'm being pressured by 17 different defensive linebackers. Anyone in the country could make that pass. Anyone can. And that was most of Milton's completions, not just for that game, not just for every other game he's played this season, but for every year he's been at Tennessee. All with the exception of the somewhat very, very rare 98-yard bomb. And, a lot of these people obsess over Milton because, oh, look, he could throw 98 yards down the field. He's so good. He got an arm. Yeah, well, that's true. Joe Milton is one of the best athletes I've seen in college. That doesn't suddenly make him an elite level quarterback. And we've seen it. He doesn't have the decision making that Hendon Hooker had or any other elite quarterback that you can think of had. He doesn't have it. He's been in college for 6 years, has not improved one day at Tennessee. So I don't want to get on Milton too much, because, you get what you get with Joe Milton at this point. So, this is what we're getting. This is what you get. The exact same 4 plays. And, if you're playing against a team like Austin Peay or UConn or Texas A&M, who Jimbo Fisher got fired today because of how bad they are. If you're one of those fellas, then of course that stupid little dump off pass or run up the middle is eventually going to work sometimes. But against good teams, and especially against elite college football teams, never works. Never works. Maybe it does work. Maybe it works the first 5 minutes of the game. Every time after that, though, you know why? It's a very simple solution. Very simple. One word, actually. You know what that one word is? Adjustments. Coaches, specifically elite high-level coaches, know how to make adjustments, not just during the game, but going into the second half. They know how to make adjustments. They know that if a team is running the ball efficiently well against you, then you have to start working to shut down the run. And you have to start adjusting your game plan to shut down the run. If your team is specifically successful on the pass, then of course you put more people down back there. You make sure that they aren't able to get the pass open. Maybe you force more pressure on the quarterback. I know I'm speaking coach talk here, but you see what I'm getting at. Coaches know how to make adjustments. At least good coaches know how to make adjustments. I cannot name one time, not a single time, throughout this college football season that I have seen Josh Heupel make one single adjustment. It has been the exact same game plan the entirety of the way in every single game, and nothing has changed. Not a thing. And I'm so tired of hearing this. People have been on the defense today or yesterday, fire Tim Banks, blah, 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 blah. Do you know, I think I mentioned this already, but did you know, not once, not even one time throughout the entirety of this season has this Tim Banks defense let up more than 30 points. Or 29 points to be exact. The one time that a team has scored more than 29 points on us has been due to turnovers by the offense. A scoop and score, a pick six. That's the only reason. Otherwise, never happened. Never happened. Oh, Mizzou, I get it. We saw what Mizzou did against Tennessee. But the big difference there is that the last 2 years, we were putting up 60 points on them. So it didn't matter if they put up 20 or 30. We double or triple that. And we put up, 60-something points on them. But putting up 7 just ain't cutting, as we can find out real quick. It's Iowa level bad. Iowa level bad. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And, well, you see how that's played out. The season's over at this point, obviously. There is no hope of competing for any type of championship. There's no hope of backpedaling into something meaningful. The only thing we're trying to play for now is just in hope of not making it into the Music City Bowl, and hoping that we don't go back there again. That's what we're competing for at this point. So we got 2 games left on our schedule. And I'll tell you this right now. I firmly believe this. If we do not make any adjustments today or this week going into the Georgia game, I firmly believe this. We will lose worse than we did in 2017. That 41-0 blowout, losing by 41 points at home, I firmly believe that it'll be worse than that. I think it'll be I think we'll lose by more than 41 points if we come out with this offense next week. I truly believe that. That's how bad it'll be. I'm going to have to, if I see this exact same thing next week, I'm going to just have to put on a blindfold for the next 4 hours and hope that I never have to see the score of this game. Good grief. So my point in all of this is you haven't made a single adjustment throughout the entirety of the season. And you see that the offense you have and the game plan that you have, the playbook with 4 plays isn't working. And any good team will be able to shut it down real quick and they will annihilate you. So now with all that being said, what do you do now? What do you do now that the season is over and that any hope of competing for a championship or anything like that is out the window? Joe Milton isn't improving. The team isn't improving. There's no sign of improvement anywhere on the field. What do you do? What do you do in that situation? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You start Nico. You start Nico in the Georgia game. And look, Nico probably won't go out there and ball out and put up 500 yards on Georgia. I don't expect him to go out there and win that game. He probably won't. I hope he does, and I don't think he will. I don't think he'll ball out as a true freshman in his first ever start at Tennessee. But doing that and preparing for the next year is a whole lot better than sitting on your butt and letting Joe Milton go out there and do the exact same 4 plays and watching Georgia beat us by more than 41. It's better than that. Much better than that. Well, you shouldn't start a true freshman. Okay, let me ask you this. What do you think Nick Saban would do if he were in this position? What do you think? In fact, he's already done this. Remember in the 2017 National Championship game, Jalen Hurts playing against Georgia, he couldn't get anything going. They're down at halftime. What did Nick Saban do? Did he just sit there and go, well, aw shucks, I guess we're screwed now? No, he didn't do that. He immediately switched out. He sat down Jalen Hurts and put in the true freshman Tua Tagovailoa to go out there and try and ball out and win the game. And he did. He went out there and balled out and won the game. And not only that, but he stayed the starter for next year. And Saban probably knew that Jalen Hurts was going to transfer if he wasn't the starter. But you know what Nick Saban did? He didn't care. He starts the best guy, and he plays to win. He doesn't play to appease, and he doesn't play for loyalty. He plays to win. That's the big thing in college football, ain't it? Any other good head coach, I believe, would have saw, and even Dabo knows this. Look, Dabo's a guy who's loyal to, he's all about loyalty. Dabo Swinney's probably one of the biggest coaches when it comes to, the loyalty philosophy and everything like that. Go back to last year with DJ Uiagalelei playing for Clemson. You saw how terrible he was in some of those games. But did Dabo Swinney and his coaching staff just sit there with their hands firmly tucked beneath their booty holes and say, oh, well, I guess we're screwed now. Oh, one of our 4 plays ain't working. I guess we're just going to sit here and let them beat us. No, of course they didn't do that. They went out there and started Cade Klubnik, a freshman. And what did Cade Klubnik go out there and do? He won the game. And I'm not saying that if Nico started in the second half of the Missouri game, that he would have suddenly gone out there and balled out and we would have come back against Missouri and won the game. None of that's true. And none of that probably would be true. But it's a whole lot better than just letting them beat you. And that's exactly what Heupel has done. 3 times this season, Heupel has sat back and watched, just sat there and watched as teams have dominated his offense and didn't do jack squat about it. 3 times now. This season is ruined because of you. This season is screwed because of you. Not because of Tim Banks, not because of the fans, not because of Joey Hazel, not because of anything else other than Josh Heupel. No excuse for this. Absolutely no excuse for that. To get absolutely dominated by Missouri, and not only that, and it wasn't the fact that we got dominated that makes me so mad. It's the fact that you refused to make any changes at any point in the game and just sat there and watched it happen. You just sat there and witnessed it. Might as well put on a pair of 3D glasses and sat there and watched our booty holes get clapped in 3D. Just ridiculous. Just absolutely asinine. So, okay, now with all that being said, and with now that I'm mad again, I do want to finish this off with one last thing. I mentioned how Nico should start throughout the rest of the season. We should prepare for next year because any hope of us competing for a championship is out the window. But with all that being said, why in the world is Milton still starting at this point in the season? What incentive would there be for Milton to start at this point in the season? There's only one reason. It's because there was a promise made. And I do believe this. Nico hasn't been redshirted. Heupel said that he wasn't going to be redshirted. And if that's the case, then I'm gonna say this as if Nico is not going to be redshirted this season. But I firmly believe there's a good chance that there was a promise made to Joe Milton before the season began. I don't know when it was made. It could have been before the season began, before the end of last year's season. It could have been right when Hendon Hooker started at Tennessee. Whichever point this was made, there's a good chance that a promise was made to Joe Milton that no matter what would happen, no matter how terrible he was out there on the field, no matter what happened or how he played, that he was going to be the starter at Tennessee. And none of that was ever going to change until he left. And I don't believe that's true. I'm not firmly 100% on the belief that that's true. But if it is true that promise was made, then you're going to have to make up for it next year, because I'm almost convinced that I want you. I almost want to go on the fire Heupel train. That's how bad that is. You don't make a promise you can't back up. That's true. You can't, and if you make a promise like that, you can't go back on it. But now that he's played as terrible as he is, and you lose a bunch of games you're not supposed to, specifically Missouri and Florida. You lose that Florida game, you lose to Missouri. What do you do now? The season's over. I mean, any hope competing for a postseason, again, out the window. So what else do you do other than prepare for next year? What else do you do? You tell me. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear. If there's any Tennessee fans out there that are watching this right now, and at this point, then if you watch this video, this very long video, and you still firmly believe that Joe Milton should be the starter, there's nothing left that I can say to you. There's literally nothing left that I can say. We have problems other than Joe. We have problems other than this offense. But the big factor as to why we have been as bad as we've been is because of this coaching staff and their inability to adjust. This is why. This is what happens. And the reason why I would almost say fire Heupel for something like this is because what's going to stop him from doing something like this in the future? If we have another quarterback that ain't no good and Heupel, cares about him because he's loyal and he stayed here. I respect Milton for staying here. I mean, I'm not, just because I say Milton isn't a good quarterback, that doesn't mean I don't like him as a person. I think the fact that he stayed here, and he transferred here to Tennessee, and he stayed here after Hendon Hooker was the starter in 2021. I think that deserves a lot of feet. I think that deserves he has my respect. To put it that way. I think he has my respect for that. He does, but he doesn't got it. He's not, he just doesn't have it together. He's not going to be able to take us where we want to go, and that's been proven already. And at this point, what else can you do other than say, Joe, thank you so much for the job that you've done, but from this point onward, we're going to go ahead and start a new quarterback. What else can you do other than that? There's no upside to starting a 6-year senior that has not improved a single day he's been in college. There's not an upside. None. Absolutely none. So the only thing you can do now is get Nico out on that field, get him some experience, and prepare for next year. Because if you've got Nico, who's got, rather than, no game of experience, barely any playing time going up into the 2023 season, knowing that it'll be the starting, or the 2024 season, knowing that he will be the starting quarterback, I think that's a lot worse than if he had 2 or 3 games, including a bowl game, of playing experience. And I think that would fare out a lot better. I would. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. I don't like losing. I don't like doubting my coaches. I don't like the fact that I'm suddenly against our coaching staff. But I haven't seen anything that makes me think that they're just going to suddenly turn it around. Especially not with this offense that they've got out on the field. So, look, we probably won't beat Georgia next week. If we start Nico and completely switch around our offense, we probably won't beat Georgia next week. But it's a whole lot better than sitting here and acting like nothing is wrong and hoping that Milton just suddenly gets it together next week. Because if he couldn't get it together against a team like Missouri, what makes you think he'll get it together against the defending national champions? What makes you think that that's going to happen? There are some serious problems here. Serious problems. And I don't know, there's no confirmation that any of these problems will exist next year, because we won't have a situation like this. Nico will be starting, and we'll have a whole new set of problems to talk about. But this has gone on for long enough. 10 games now. Not a single adjustment. It's time to prepare for next year. And if we come out with the same exact game plan next week and I don't see Nico starting or anything like that, then I don't even know if it's worth making a hate video or even a pregame video for it. I just don't know if it's worth doing that, because it's... If the coaches don't want to win, why would I? I hope we get it together. I really do. It's not like I'm rooting against Josh Heupel. It's not like I'm rooting against Joe Milton. I've been praying throughout the entirety of this year that Joe Milton would find a way to get it together, and that he'd suddenly wake up and that he would be the best quarterback since Peyton Manning, and he would ball out every single game and throw 90-yard bombs down the field that are 100% complete. And I've been praying that all of that would be true. But the reality of the situation is it's not. It's not going to happen. It's just not. So what better way to prepare for next year than to get the true freshman out there on the field and get him some playing experience? And it doesn't matter if it's the number 1 team in the nation it doesn't matter to me if it's, and there's a night and day difference between Vandy and Georgia. I get that, but get him some playing experience against the real team. That's the best way to go about it. Get him prepared for next year. What do y'all think? Really, what do the Vol fans think about this? Are there some of you out there who are agreeing with me, who are just aren't saying it because why would they? I'm sure there are people out there who disagree with me. I really want to hear what you have to say about this. I really do. I really do. I legitimately want to hear the takes of people who have listened to this video and still disagree with what I have to say. I hope there isn't people out there who just skim through parts of this and then just hear the part where, oh, I want Josh Heupel fired, and then they like, why would you want Josh Heupel fired? And blah, 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 blah. I hope the people that have responded in the comments have at least listened to a majority of the video to know that what my point here is. Because there are some serious problems here at Tennessee. And there have been some serious problems all season long. But now that the season has completely come to a close, at least really trying to compete for a championship-wise, there's nothing else we can do other than prepare for next year. Would you all agree with me on that? I would really hope so. I'll see you tomorrow for the Volstar podcast. Oh, by the way, I did mention this already, but at least we aren't Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher. Bye-bye.